Hi, Sahar. Welcome to Network Capital. In this podcast, we try and do a deep dive into career choices. You've had a particularly interesting career, and we're excited to learn more about you. Could you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Mansoor. I grew up in Bangalore and I spent some time studying my undergrad and my master's away for a bit, worked for a bit, and then found my way back home to Bangalore. And I spent some time working in rural Karnataka primarily. I worked on solar energy projects to basically help underserved communities fill in the energy gap. So basically, we solarized public health centers and sewing machines and schools and all sorts of cool stuff like that. And I just kind of found myself a few years down the line finding Bare Necessities, which is a small waste-related enterprise in Bangalore. And I'm excited to tell you more about that.
What is Bare Necessities and what's the genesis of the idea?
Sure. So actually, it's kind of related to the work I did at SELCO. I was working with a community that was kind of by our Bangalore airport. And essentially, they were waste pickers. So they were an informal community that lived in blue top homes. And essentially, we worked on putting solar panels on, the tea stall. So when everyone comes in the morning for their cup of tea, they essentially also just plugged in their battery to charge, go away for a day's work, and then they come back and we had a fully charged battery that they could plug into their solar lantern. And while working on this project, I spent a lot of time basically shadowing members from the community around Bangalore on my cycle at like 5 a.m. And essentially I got to observe more closely about what's going on with our waste problem and kind of got to observe waste infrastructure systems really closely. And this is also a topic that I've been interested in academically, but it was really kind of interesting to kind of see this from a ground up perspective. And that's kind of when I decided to start living a zero waste lifestyle or a low impact lifestyle. And a few years down the line, I started Bare Necessities, which is an enterprise that basically seeks to make it easy and accessible for others who are looking to consume more mindfully and who want to live a less waste-free lifestyle. It's also kind of a hub for zero waste living. So we like to share information, become this knowledge hub, so we can share resources more easily.
And have you raised any money for it? What's the business model? Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, lots of great questions. So essentially, Bare Necessities makes these products that are really accessible and easy. For example, we make things like bamboo toothbrushes and stainless steel straws, and basically all products that otherwise would be plastic. So we are a products company, but we're also into the services. So we help people who want to, say, companies or cafes become more sustainable. We've been bootstrapped for about 3 years now. And we are just closing our seed round, which is super, super exciting. And we're super lucky to have like-minded, awesome investors on board who kind of understand that some metrics, such as social impact, can't be measured on an Excel spreadsheet. So Social Alpha, which is a subsidiary of the Tata Trust, is one of our lead investors, and we also have 2 more individuals who kind of joined the round. So it's really exciting, and we're just closing our seed round.
Congratulations. Now tell us your vision. Where will you take this company in the next 5 years?
So honestly, the FMCG industry hasn't seen any innovation in the past, 30 years. Products that we use on a daily basis are packaged in plastic, loaded with chemicals. Presumably the first thing that we all do when we wake up in the morning is brush our teeth. And we all use a plastic toothbrush. And our toothpaste comes in this plastic tube. And, we're currently in the largest global garbage crisis of our lifetime. And the FMCG industry is largely to blame. So basically, my vision for Bare Necessities is to completely reimagine consumer products and make them as earth-friendly as possible. So the idea is all our products will be packaged in a recyclable, reusable, or fully compostable packaging. So the idea is nothing will land up in our oceans and landfill.
I love it. So give us a flavor of your products. How did you learn to make them? What's the product that you're most proud of? Or what was the hardest thing to get the product right?
Yeah. Oh, it was just a ton of experimentation. Bless my mom, she's been so patient. I mean, my first laboratory was my mom's kitchen. So, I was basically just fashioning and looking at old recipes. I asked my grandmother, what she used to do before shampoo started coming in a plastic bottle. I took courses. I started reading up and buying a lot of books on aromatherapy, on just essential oils, how to make things. So yeah, I started making soaps and toothpaste. Those were kind of my first few products. And then I started making detergents and lip balms. But then also doing a lot of product design work, exploring materials like bamboo that are, for example, bamboo is the fastest growing plant in the world. It takes only 3 weeks to grow completely full size. And we can have these amazing bamboo toothbrushes that we can use, and we can just compost when we're done with it. So it's been quite a lot of trials and errors and lots of kind of failed experiments, but I think they've all been really fun. And product I'm most proud of, I would say the lip balm. It's amazing whether I'm hiking in the mountains or scuba diving. I think the formulation is just perfect. So that's one product I'm most proud of.
Understood. Tell us more about how you learned. You gave us a flavor that you learned and you took courses, but what did you study in undergrad, and was it related at all to what your company does today? And if not, walk us into the specific way you upskilled yourself to make a product-led company.
Okay, yeah, that's a good loaded question. Well, I studied political science and I was on a pre-law track, and I went to a small hippie liberal arts school in Los Angeles. And, I was all set on becoming a lawyer. And then I took this one environmental course called World Religion and Ecology that just completely blew my mind and kind of forced me to change the direction of my life. And then I basically walked into my dean's office, asked him, can we have a major that's more focused on environmental education? And he was kind of shocked that I said that because I was like, you don't have the major I want. And he was like, what do you mean? We have like 500 majors here. But we basically sat down and handcrafted a major that had environmental science and environmental engineering and environmental planning and philosophy. So that was my academic training. And then my master's, I studied environmental law and environmental economics at Cambridge. Because then I wanted to become like a professor. And I think honestly the best thing that happened to me was that I didn't get fully funded for my PhD at Cambridge, because then I got a flavor of the real world. So I spent some time at WHO in Geneva, and I had been looking at our waste problem from an environmental perspective, and honestly from a very nerdy academic elitist perspective. But for the first time I got to change gears a little and look at our waste problem, but also the personal care products that we use on a daily basis and the chemicals in it from a health perspective. And I think that was really kind of instrumental in the work that I'm doing now. And then moving back, of course, to India helped me look at our waste problem from a social justice perspective. So I think those three approaches that I learned academically and work environments have really kind of shaped what I'm doing now. But really nothing has trained me or educated me to run a business. I didn't go to business school. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I didn't study, aromatherapy or something in any fancy French school on the Alps or anything like that. So I think it's just been a lot of experimentation, and I think a strong desire to create a better world and kind of leave this planet in a better state than we found it. Because, if we're hiking somewhere in the Western Ghats, I don't know, with my niece and nephew a few years from now, and if we're sitting in a pile of trash around us, I want to be the one to say that at least I tried not to add more to the environment. And I tried to come up with solutions to prevent us from being there. I think there's a larger kind of social mission attached to the vision. And also in the creation of the products, we try and hire local women. A lot of them have not finished school, a lot of them have no formal training. That we also kind of sponsor the kids' education. So it's basically all of the values that I've truly kind of liked growing up or learned and seen in different environments. I've just tried to bring it all into one little enterprise that we call Bare Necessities.
That's great that you're creating local employment. Talk to me about the pricing of your product. One critique that we hear of products that fall in your category are that they might be environmentally friendly, but they are so expensive that people can't afford them. Do you agree with this critique? If not, tell us your counter argument.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I mean, you hear the word organic and you immediately just associate it with a higher price. And I think, honestly, I want to be able to sell products to the mass market and be accessible, irrespective of their socioeconomic class, especially having worked in rural India and spent so much time there. I mean, it was really heartening to see these largely farmer communities that I would work with, and I was working on these solar projects, and they're using these 2 rupee sachets of FMCG products, like detergents or shampoos, and all of the water is then going into the soil in which they're growing food for the entire country. So it's bad for their health, it's bad for the environment, it's bad for the water quality. So I think this industry, the FMCG industry, needs to push innovation on packaging, on ingredients, but also making it accessible. So I totally think that's a valid critique. And I think, honestly, it's an economies of scale problem, right? So I think there has to be more demand for the product. I think the government needs to create better policies for enterprises like us to exist. I think there needs to be maybe, whether it's tax incentives or, basically, they had this whole scheme around Swachh Bharat, and it was great that waste management or all of these discussions have kind of come to public discourse. But I think, we need to look the ways we are planning cities and grocery stores to make sustainability just the norm and not the exception. And I think especially through policy, because it's a great way to institutionalize change and create large-scale impact. I think if the government was, creating policies such as they did for the CSR policy, they mandated 2% to be spent on CSR spending. If the government mandates for these big FMCG companies to reimagine their manufacturing or put aside 2% of their budget on R&D development for environmentally sound packaging or something. So I think it's an ecosystem approach. Consumers need to be more educated. We need to ask the right products. Manufacturers creating the right products need to exist. The right policy ecosystem needs to be in place. And then hopefully there'll be enough demand that we'll be producing these amazing products that are good for our health and environment. For everyone at all prices, accessible everywhere in every corner store.
That's a really powerful vision. But do you agree with the critique that as of today, it's unaffordable for most, or do you disagree with that?
So at Bare Necessities, I think our products are not luxury pricing and they're not super premium, but of course they're premium. So for example, an agrarian farmer will not buy my toothbrush or my toothpaste. But what we do is we have a lot of talks and workshops, which are DIY workshops where we work with kids at schools, at cafes. We've done stuff at offices, where we just teach people how to make their own personal care products. And the idea is to democratize the process. So, the big vision for Bare Necessities isn't for me to be the biggest McDonald's of the world, that everyone needs to buy products from us. But the idea is if we can teach you how to make these products with ingredients that are native to your own kitchen or backyard, then that means that less waste going up in the landfill of the ocean. And that is the mission of Bare Necessities. Ultimately, less waste will be landing up in our oceans and landfills.
Is there a brand in the West or in the East that you admire and have considered modeling your business around that?
To be honest, this might not be very palatable for many people, but I think currently the zero waste movement is kind of dominated by a little bit of a Western rhetoric. And it's becoming a very elite and bulk stores and accessible only in this hipster one locality in Brooklyn or Chelsea or whatever. I think what is so beautiful about zero waste in India is that a lot of the things that were traditionally used to do were zero waste. So I think honestly the default culture, like going zero waste isn't super crazy or radical or hipster. It's just traditionally Indian. So, if you think about all of our grandparents and nani tatis, eyes and ajis, they were all probably zero wasters. The idea of going to a bazaar and getting as much food as you need, rather than going to Western inspired grocery stores that are giving you pre-dictated amount of packaged food. Or, our stainless steel tiffin is a phenomenal example. The dabbawalas of Mumbai, I mean, they've done Harvard case studies on them, and the margin of error is like close to nothing. But also, I mean, this 6,000, dabbawalas of Mumbai are delivering over 2 lakh healthy home cooked meals, all without producing absolutely any waste. And that is a phenomenal example of zero waste that's so traditional in our culture. And I can't even imagine telling the food startups of the, world now, that giving them this example about how they're producing absolutely no waste.
Got it. E-commerce is huge in India, and you're amongst other things, you're also an e-commerce company. But is that the only revenue stream, or do you see yourself growing in other areas as well?
Yeah. So, while we are largely a product company and an e-commerce company, we try and ship everything as low packaging as possible. We also have a place in Bangalore where you can come and refill your products. And we also retail at 50 other stores across the country. So products is definitely currently our bread and butter, but we just came up with a zero waste online course. So it goes through aspects of your personal care routine, but also your kitchen, your lifestyle, your commuting style, your cities, your closet. And basically, we have experts insights, people who've joined us, little activities, videos, DIYs, to make it as easy and accessible for people who are also looking to consume more mindfully. So that is one. But we also, get a lot of consulting requests, whether it's a cafe that's starting up or a big multinational company who wants to just, be more sustainable, reduce their waste, whether it's food waste or paper waste. And so we kind of help with setting up those processes as well.
Who's your strongest critic? Who's your strongest ally? And who are your mentors?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. Let me start with the mentors. I think I'm super, super lucky because I have a lot of amazing mentors in my life. I'm still really close with my professors from university. I've had the pleasure of having Sanjay Prasad, who's been with me for the past 2 years as my mentor, and I have weeklies with him. I have my uncle Jawad, who is an amazing serial entrepreneur. And I think it's also maybe he gives me advice that probably my dad would give me, who unfortunately isn't around. Latika Pai, who is at Microsoft, who created this amazing community of women entrepreneurs who just support each other. I think also my allies are, this might be a little off topic, but of course similar like-minded enterprises like Daily Dump and Sahars, and Poonam is another great mentor of mine. But also my football team. I play football in Bangalore, and it's just a sense of community that they've given me kind of, it's just an amazing release. It's really good to be surrounded by amazing women that you look up to and admire, who are also entrepreneurs and also CEOs and also amazing moms and doing it all. So I think they kind of help ground me, give me great advice, mentor me when I need, because I'm one of the youngest on the team. So I'm really, really grateful for that community. Who are my biggest critiques? I would say my sisters, and I think that's really healthy because they tell me things that other people wouldn't tell me or think it's non-palatable. So I think they're critical, but also kind of super encouraging. So yeah, super, super lucky in terms of all of the social support I have.
What's the one thing that you believe in that others mostly disagree with?
That we can make sustainability and zero waste the norm and not the exception. And that we can.
A lot of people disagree with you on that. You get a lot of pushback.
Yeah, because there are the whole kind of economic development versus environmental conservation rhetoric that is pretty dominant in a lot of Indian discourse. I think that is prominent and comes kind of back at me a couple of times. I think this need for reimagining our FMCG industry, it's not just about convenience, but we can also design better packaging and, kind of reinvent on that. I think I get lots of pushback on that because we're so used to doing it how we used to do it, and it's, the plastic container is 35 or 30 cents or whatever it might be, which is just so easy and accessible. So I think the need to kind of change those systems and change thinking around that gets a lot of pushback.
Awesome. Let's switch gears. The schools, colleges, and governments, if you were to give each of them one piece of advice, what would it be?
I guess my one piece of advice for governments is to create policies that are bold and decisive. We are living in, the largest global garbage crisis of our lifetime, but also with the IPCC report out, there is so much research to back out why climate action is the need of the hour. So I would say to our government, be more bold and decisive. I think Swachh Bharat is a great mission, but how are we going to create the policies to make that happen? So whether it is creating policies to incentivize small businesses in the environmental field to exist, incentivizing them to exist through taxation, or creating a mandate for huge polluters, really adopting the polluters pay principle, where people have to pay as per what they're polluting, because I think the financial kind of bottom line really pushes and changes behavior, when businesses are concerned. For schools and colleges, I would say that, wow, you have such an important role. You are housing and molding like the future of nations, the future leaders. It's so important that conversations around sustainability become super mainstream, become the everyday. And I think, creating examples of zero waste campuses or green campuses are instrumental in them seeing that this is the norm and this is the everyday, and then they take those values with them and create a world, whichever world they seek to go in, to create those worlds also as really environmental little ecosystems and zones. So yeah, I think that's my one piece of advice.
Let's switch gears to personal productivity and learning. How do you learn new things? How are you on top of it? I personally love the fact that you moved from law into product development, and now you've raised money, you're doing interesting things. But this doesn't stop, right? Learning is a never-ending journey. How are you actively taking time out during a busy week to learn new things? What's surprising you about the process?
Oh yeah, I am a total nerd, so I love this question. To be honest, my mornings are sacred. So like 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., I try and be away from my cell phone and look at any emails or messages or anything like that. So whether I am, in the morning at Cubban Park running or playing football with my girlfriends, coming back home, making breakfast, listening to a podcast that I love, seeing what's going on and what's new in the world, because I think I need to learn one new thing every day. So I think that's part of my morning ritual. And then I kind of, shower, meditate, and then head to work at 10. And then I have this amazing newsletter broadsheet, which is another fellow startup, women-led startup in Bangalore, and they kind of put together the funnest news, quickest, smartest way. They reference it all, and I kind of really like their journalistic style. I think also political ideology-wise, I really vibe with them. So I read my broadsheet newsletter, and that's kind of the start to my day. That's how I kind of keep on top of it. But I love reading, so I try and kind of evenings are spent reading. And we live in this world where there's so much information, and it's so easy to share with each other. So it's like really important to kind of use that and leverage that and keep learning.
Yeah, that's great, Sahar. 6 to 10, it's ideal to take time out for yourself. I just finished a book by Ryan Holiday,
Nice.
And he and many others actively suggest that one should take time out to digitally detox and learn new things. just like, coming towards the end of the podcast, tell us what has been the hardest part of building this business, and what has been the most rewarding part yet?
Oh wow. What's the hardest part of building this business? Honestly, there's nothing that you can learn or study that can prepare you for running your own business. I think you just have to learn it on the job. From early days where I was like making the products, to going to the post office, to shipping them, to hiring my first employee. And, that's her name is Asyapa. She was like, I would just come to work and I would take a nap because there were no orders. So I think early days were definitely hard because you're trying to figure it all out. And especially because I'm a total accidental entrepreneur, this is not what I kind of envisioned. So I think the hardest job, part of it is also kind of being ready for rejection. In early days, I was just on this pitch mode. I kept pitching and it was just racking up the rejections. And then I decided to stop pitching and just focus on the business and just start building it. And then kind of organically, it just happened. And people were reaching out to us and seeking us out. So I think what I learned is that you have to kind of inculcate or build resilience. You have to be okay with rejection. And you have to just be like ready for the ride. I think that's what I learned. And what has been the best thing about building a business, I think, is building this community of amazing, like-minded people. I am just super, super grateful for my team. I mean, they all have all of the skills that I don't have and are so good at what they do, better than I will ever be, whether it is manufacturing or kind of looking at finance and strategy or marketing or, it's just an amazing team. And I'm so lucky to be surrounded by these amazing people who are so diverse, whether it's the academic background or socioeconomic background. I think what surprised me the most is how much they all also love each other and how much they think of Bare Necessities as their home. And I think, whether it's the manufacturing women want to celebrate their birthday kids at Bare, it's just a sense of camaraderie that kind of crosses languages and culture. We have this Australian boy, Tim, on our team who is like best friends with manufacturing women who speak only Hindi. So, I mean, there's just so many kind of boundaries that are constantly being reimagined in my mind through my team. And I think that's the best part about Bare.
I can tell that you're excited and you're enjoying the process just by your energy. It's been a delight talking to you, Sahar, and I look forward to connecting with you and hosting you at our Network Capital meet in Bangalore. Keep doing what you're doing, and all the very best.
Thank you so much for having me, Utkarsh. It's been like such a pleasure after listening to all of your podcasts. It's great to be here. And I'm so excited to come to Bangalore. Please come visit. We'd love to host you at Bare. So come visit.
Definitely. See you.
Thank you. Have a good night.